I don't think he took it for granted first, but certainly he didn't take it for granted when he came back in. And all three of them have been great for each other, and then as a group, they've been great for our team.
Stay in the front row.
Yeah, Paul, just so much of the playoffs is physical, but how much of the mental aspect is there in terms of maybe putting doubt in the other team's mind and taking advantage of their mistakes?
I'm not a believer at all in momentum. I don't think anything is permanent in this game. Like, I don't think you establish anything. I think it's all, kind of rear view mirror. You'll look back at maybe key moments in the series or something, if you win or if you lose. The first periods of all our series, it looked like the last first period is very physical, and then it settles in. We're pretty consistent with that game throughout, but usually early in the series, it's more physical, and the series kind of settles in.
Back to Jameson.
Paul, look at Nico Mikkola. We've heard before you a couple times call him the condor. Is it just the wingspan, the size, or what's the origin of the condor?
Bird of prey. Largest bird of prey. More of a scavenger, though. The bird of prey is my understanding. I don't know where that comes from. Everybody's got about 5 nicknames. I'm sure they got a bunch for me. But that one just kind of, he's a big man that gets up the ice. And he's just fun. He's just a fun guy. Hyper intense during the game. And God, he comes back to the bench and nobody knows what he's saying. The Finnish guys have no idea what he's saying. He's chewing somebody's ass off at the front of the front of the bench. But just one of the great personalities in our room, and he's found his place. That's a guy, credit to really how this team is built. Bill Zito and his staff. He was asked us to watch a video on him when he was in St. Louis. So before he even went to New York, and they were on to him. Because what they do a really good job of here, just exceptional, is finding players that fit the way we play, and our game is built for him. And he's been great.
Mike, over here.
Paul, I got a kick out of last night when you were saying that they mocked you for the no-shick pass at the offensive blue line. Could you, did you scream out an expletive or like
no,
what?
that would be standard. No, it was. No, I'm going to try to justify my point here. But 2 years ago, we had 2 video clips, and it was Nick Cousins actually on both of them. And one was an inside play that ended up in our net, and one was an inside play that ended up in their net. And I called them names on the one, and high-fived them on the other. But what's the difference between the two? We had really good speed on that rush. The Condor was up the middle, and that is the difference. You can make plays here. Maybe a better way to describe it is in the regular season, I think the coaches are responsible for 80% of the game that nothing happens in. It's got nothing to do with talent or skill. It's when there's nothing happening, where are we on the ice? Maybe it goes to 90 in the playoffs because everybody plays a tight game. And then players get paid for that last percent, right? That's the skill level, that's the completion. But you don't have the right on any team to constantly try to make plays. It was a great play. But Nico was up the middle hard on that play, and he was calling for it. Those are kind of like that's the environment that we would allow creativity.
Front row this side.
Paul, what's the mindset that makes you guys like the ultimate road warriors? What you guys been able to do?
You know what? I don't feel we don't feel necessarily any different at home than we do on the road. I think because they like each other, they stick together on the bench. I think that's a big part of playing on the road because you are at an emotional deficit. So every time your opponent shoots the puck at home, the crowd goes nuts. Right, so you feel you can ring one off the bar and you don't hear anything. So you get no feedback, positive feedback on the road. So it all has to come from the bench. I think that the closer knit your group is, the more often we get it from the bench. Big block, good battle, good hit, great goal, whatever it is, they're constantly kind of reinforcing a positive that you're not getting from anywhere else on the road. It can be, you can get quiet on that bench on the road at times if you let it. So I think that emotional energy comes from the players to the players, so you can feel better about your road game.
Back row, Bill Price.
Paul, a couple players mentioned, Greer mentioned last night, how in the room there's no star system. Everyone is treated equally, top line center, 14 forward.
Right.
Is that something from you, or is that something that the players have developed?
I think that's all Barkov. Truly, if you didn't know the face and you walked into that locker room or walked onto the airplane or watched him, you couldn't tell who the star was in that room. And then Matthew's like that too. I know, like Matthew and Brad, some of the older kind of the guys who make the media more, and I understand why they do. They're one of the guys in the room, but I think it's all Barkov. We have a very difficult training camp, and we play like a back-to-back set of games to start. It's always been Nashville, and everybody plays. Bobrovsky plays in that game. Barkov plays in that game. They all play. Let's say if you can, everybody has to take a bite out of a sandwich that you don't like. You know what I'm talking about, right? Everybody takes a bite out of that sandwich. Nobody likes it. So they do that for each other. I haven't had a guy come in 3 years and ask about ice time. So it's not just that they like each other, it's the way they treat each other. And that's all, like we've had some beauties in our room, right? And then I brought up Nick Cousins. I think he still leads our team with nicknames. He's got more nicknames than anybody that's ever played for us. So that's a tell, right? You got a lot of nicknames, everybody loves you. I think it's the players. We try to stay out of the players' room a little bit. Let them have their place. So they've created their own environment, and they said from the first time, these guys are different.
Over here on the wall.
Hey, Paul. How would you categorize a play where a player intentionally shoots at another player and not at the net?
It's somebody else's problem.
Dan Rosen.
This is literally the second time I got to follow a question on that. Did it last night too.
Is that what you followed last time? How did that go for you?
It was actually all right. Last night you did say, I didn't necessarily like our game, but I understood it. So what do you need to see tomorrow night to both like and understand?
Well, it was better on video than behind the bench. That's a tell, fellas. Because both teams play such a hard gap game, because there's no room, there's not a lot of development of plays. And so I'm not looking for better. We're going to assume it's going to look exactly like that. There were some of our rush defense, and you usually find that in game one for us because our forecheck is fairly heavy. It's part of what we do. There are times that we over forecheck, and that causes a bit of a problem. So that would be the adjustment. It's not about coming off our forecheck. It's just making sure that our layers are a little bit more patient.
Two more questions. Start with Will Mansell.
Paul, last night, there was a couple instances where it seems like they were trying to get under Bob's skin a little bit near the net, and Bob was asked about it after the game, and he said, that's just play of hockey, I'm fine. But what is that mindset, almost like a skill where you don't allow the opposing team, when especially you're playing that well, to get under your skin?
Everybody's trying to get to the blue paint, especially in this series, because it's hard. Like it's pure man-to-man defense for both teams, right? And it's really hard to get any traction down there. Eventually, this series will end up within 5 feet of the nets. That's the only thing that's left to get to. We'll take care of our goaltender. They'll take care of theirs. But he's just not a kid. He's just been through it. He's been bumped. He's been run over by our own defense at times. He's just been through it. So it doesn't, and his developed a skill set that it just doesn't bother him. I mean, nobody likes getting elbowed in the head, but it won't be the first time. It won't be the last.
Last one, second row.
Paul, just what were your thoughts on, I guess, the intensity of the first game between, like the fight at the end and the hit on Bob, some big hits earlier in the game? Just what do you think of the intensity? Was it what you expected?
Yeah, I haven't found it. It's interesting though. I've had that question after the first game in each series. And I would say that first game is not really a departure from our game in every game. It's just sometimes a little bit new. And the other team will be as physical. They're going to try to match that physicality early. But after game one in each one, game two in Tampa was the nastiest game that we've been a part of. We weren't the sole drivers of that. They owned the other half of that too. That was, walked off that bench and thought, I don't know, there's going to be any left to either of these two teams if that keeps up. Other than that, there have been big hits. They changed the way they mark the hitting. I'm not saying it's wrong. They're trying to get a consistency in the hitting, which makes sense. For me, there's probably 10 to 12 big hits last night, 8 to 12, which is a good number. It's not off the charts. There are close to 100 bumps, but a hit where you're going, oof, that must have felt. That would be average or at least fair to our games one.